Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today we are featuring the Action Force Sgt. Slaughter. So Action Force is a new line of action figures produced by Valaverse right here. I believe the company is owned by Bobby Valla, a former employee at Hasbro. So the Action Force line of action figures, they're very much in line with like the G.I. Joe Classified series of action figures. The Classified series figures, those are produced by Hasbro, and Action Force is produced by Valaverse. I'm very excited to look at this figure. I know that Hasbro recently announced a Sgt. Slaughter figure for their Classified series line, but if you're very impatient and you need a Sgt. Slaughter figure now for your Classified series figures, this is a great substitute. Overall, I think the design looks awesome, and I'm very excited to check this out. So here's the package. In terms of the box size, let me grab a G.I. Joe Classified series box. Alright, here's a G.I. Joe Classified series box. This is not an official Sgt. Slaughter Hasbro figure. This one here is a Mattel WWE Sgt. Slaughter figure. I just customized a Classified series box just so I could like mix this guy in with the rest of my collection. So here's a comparison of the box sizes. As you can see, the Action Force box is smaller than the Classified series. So the package design is really well done. You get the figure, and the window does a great job of framing all of the accessories. And as you can see here, Sgt. Slaughter comes with a lot of extra hands. We're talking about a lot. So you're looking at 1, 2, 3 pairs of hands plus an extra pointed finger, pointed finger, and then that doesn't include the 2 extra hands that are already stock on the body. Looks like he comes with his sunglasses, a revolver, and a giant combat knife. Here's the side of the box. Pretty cool illustration of Sarge. Action Force. On the back, we have on top some of the other figures in the lineup. We have Condor, Bone Collector, Steel Brigade, the Swarm Trooper, Carrick, and Sgt. Slaughter. I do have the Condor figure, so I'm going to review that in the near future. Look out for that video. And much like the old G.I. Joes that we got in the 80s, Sgt. Slaughter in Action Force comes with a file card, which is awesome. So this is great. It's fun world building. It gives you some background information on Sgt. Slaughter and how he exists in the Action Force universe. So let's get started and take this guy out. Now, just to warn you in advance, I'm not sure how thorough this review will be. I did some research online, and from my understanding, some of these Action Force figures are very difficult to like move and articulate without heating or boiling the joints. So at the very least, we're going to unbox them and inspect them up close. So I apologize for that. If you're looking for a much more deeper review, I'm sure you can find other reviewers on YouTube who've already checked this figure out. Alright, so here's the insert, here's the tray, and what's nice also is that there's a separate piece of plastic on top to protect the figure. You can remove this. And then there's additional protection here. There's a cling wrap cover on top to keep all the accessories in place without the use of tape, which I love because if you're a collector and you like to take your figures out but still preserve the package, a lot of times you'll want to, repackage it back in the box and put it away for storage. In this case, I love the idea of the cling wrap as opposed to tape because it allows you to access the figure and the accessories without, getting fingerprints on the tape or just making a mess. This is a much, I think, better way of doing things. So here is the figure in the tray. Let's take a look at him up close. So we get the very large combat knife, his revolver, his sunglasses, thankfully are taped in. That's like the smallest accessory, and you don't want to lose that. You get the extra hands. As you can see, there's fists, there's gripping hands, there's trigger fingers, a pointed finger, and there's even a display base, which is a nice bonus. Alright, so let's take a look at Sergeant Slaughter up close. Let's reposition his hat. Alright, let's get him into focus. Does he want to focus? Alright, yeah, so we have Sergeant Slaughter from the Action Force by Valaverse, and it's a spectacular looking figure. The design, the aesthetic, and the sculpting, it feels like it's very much in line with the G.I. Joe Classified series. It's not drastically, too different. From what I'm handling right now, it appears to be like almost kind of like a blend of like the Marvel Legends style of body with the G.I. Joe Classified series of body. As you can see, pinless elbows, much cleaner design. Let's remove the hat. You get a nice scowling face for Sergeant Slaughter. He has the big chin, the bald head. Now this version of Sergeant Slaughter is very different from the original 80s G.I. Joe one. The original G.I. Joe Sergeant Slaughter, he was just wearing a tank top. This guy is actually wearing a coat. And the coat's actually it's almost more like a vest piece. You can remove it. And God, this is kind of a stiff piece of plastic. Yeah, this is a very... It's not as soft as like some of the Marvel Legends plastics, but it's kind of stiff. So the joints are kind of tight on mine, so I'm not going to get too crazy with it. Like I said, I've read reviews on some of the Valaverse stuff, and I think some of the initial waves, the joints were too tight. I'm not sure if that was corrected, but at the very least, we could examine the figure. So up close, this will give you an idea of the detailing and sculpting. Very clean, very detailed. It's not excessively done. Everything seems like, it's on the realistic side. It's not like super hyper detailed. Underneath, his tank top has a nice texture to it. A very nice micro pattern. The belt is actually sculpted on to the lower piece. And this is all, it's a very hard plastic. He has a very dark green camo design on his pants. The holsters look like they're a separate piece as well. Here's the holster for the revolver. Double jointed knees. As you can see, it's a pinless design. Alright, yeah, so I might have to boil this. My knees are very tight. I don't want to break the figure. Does he have a boot cut? There is a boot cut, so there's a boot swivel. And his ankles are articulated. They go up, they go down, and I believe they also rock side to side. So that's nice. Yeah, overall, a premium figure. Now, the price point for this guy, I paid $49 for him on Amazon, which seems like a lot. Considering that a G.I. Joe Classified series figure, I believe they run for what, like anywhere between like $19 to like maybe like $22 or $24, depending on where you get it. Let's get his hat on. So yeah, that's Sarge. So yeah, the price point might be an issue for some people. If you have the patience and you can wait for the official Hasbro one, just in my opinion, just go for that. But if you're looking to like break into like the Valaverse line and Action Force, I think Sarge is going to be your gateway drug. Just because this character already exists in G.I. Joe, And speaking of G.I. Joe, let's do a scale comparison. So we're going to take out the two body types for the classified series figures. We have the smaller framed Duke action figure from G.I. Joe Classified, and we also have the larger figure. This is the body they've used for like Roadblock. This is the Gung Ho figure. And height wise, let's get these guys measured out. So Duke comes in at about a little under 6.5 inches. Gung Ho comes in at about 6 3/4, and Sergeant Slaughter here comes in at about, let's take off his hat so we get it much more accurate reading on this guy. This guy comes in at a little under 6.5 also. So this guy, so in my head, I always kind of picture Sarge being a bigger guy. So in my head, Sarge should, you know, scale with Gung Ho. But it looks like he's sized to like match with like Duke here. And if we stand them back to back, I'll give you an idea of the height difference. You know, they both come in at about 6.5 inches. So if, you know, in my opinion, I think it's a decent fit. You know, ideally, I'd like Sarge to be a little bit bulkier, a little bit taller, but, you know, from a distance, this guy will easily blend in. And once you put the hat on, I think the hat adds a little bit of height to him. And then you can do this. And Gung Ho kind of towers over Sarge. And I do like the Gung Ho figure, but I always kind of felt like the head is too big. You know, if you look at it, the proportions of the head just seem very large. Now, there's some other Sergeant Slaughter options that are out there. For example, you know, coming back to this is the Mattel WWE Basic or Core Design Sergeant Slaughter. This figure came out a couple of years ago, so if you find this on the secondary market, you know, be prepared to pay, you know, a marked up price. Originally, I think this figure retailed for $9.99, but when I bought it, you know, some years later, I think I paid upwards towards maybe like $30 for it. An affordable option for Sergeant Slaughter right now is this guy. You might be able to find this guy on shelves right now. This is the WWE Elite Collection Series 89 Sergeant Slaughter. Even though he looks like this, don't be fooled. You could remove the jacket, and once you remove the jacket, he has a look that looks very similar to this. He has the camo t-shirt with the black tank top. The only thing different is that this guy's camo shirt is a different shade of green than this one. This one's green is a lot brighter, a lot more vibrant, whereas this guy, he has a much more muted t-shirt. And if you're curious about that, go back to my back catalog of videos, and I actually reviewed this figure, so it'll give you an idea of what this guy is like. So yeah, much more affordable option if you need a Sarge now. But if you want something that feels a little bit closer and truer to the G.I. Joe Classified series figures, and you don't mind paying, you know, the higher price point, this is a great figure. If I had to rate this guy on a scale of 1 to 10, for me, 8.5 to a 9. You know, for me, the only issue right now is the really tight joints. You know, that's a issue I've read that's common with some of the early figures for the Valaverse line. Like, his knee is like super tight right now, and I don't want to risk breaking it. But he does have all the points of articulation that you expect. You know, his head rotates, looks down, looks up. His arms rotate, and they also go out, but I don't want to pull it out too high because it feels a little bit too tight. There's a bicep cut, so it swivels, and as I pointed out earlier, pinless, double jointed elbow, articulated wrists, and you can kind of see from the back, I think he has a butterfly joint on the inside. So there's an extended range of motion for his arm. He does have an ab crunch cut right below the chest line, right there. Waist cut, and it's not only a swivel, it allows you to like actually roll the figure forward, back, and to the side. The leg, it's kind of assembled much like, you know, Marvel Legends, G.I. Joe Classified Series, ball joint, thigh cut, thigh swivel. My joint's pretty tight. And like I pointed out earlier, he does have a boot cut and ankle articulation. So yeah, very solid figure, very solid effort for the first wave. I like this guy a lot. It's awesome. I'm glad I have him. And like I stated earlier, I do believe their Valaverse is coming out with a re-release of this guy. Part of me wants to say maybe it comes without the jacket and maybe the bare arms. I might be wrong on that though. So yeah, overall great action figure. Really happy to add this to my collection. Alright, so let's close this video out. Once again, my name is Lou. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you so much for your continued support. So, until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I will see you at the next one. Alright, later.